So I want to admit that my practice is on Sundays to read the Torah portion for the week and start my preparation for the Tuesday meditation. So as I was beginning to prepare Sunday morning, all I wanted to do was focus on joy. I felt an enormous sense of relief that the most important part of the election went the way I wanted it to. And so I started reading this Torah portion with joy on my mind. So just to give you a brief recap, this is the parsha that opens with Sarah's death. Abraham is mourning his loss. Then he buys a cave in which to bury her, and we have the burial. Then we move forward to Abraham giving instructions to his servant about finding a wife for Isaac, and that whole piece of the adventure. And the selection culminates in Rebekah's betrothal to Isaac and their subsequent marriage. And the end of the parsha, Abraham dies and is buried by Isaac and Ishmael. So joy is on my mind and I'm reading all of this. Not so easy. And I just want to say that I did some postgraduate training at the Gestalt Institute of Cleveland in their marriage and family therapy program. So Genesis is really filled with family dynamics that grab my attention. And this parsha certainly was no exception. So in this parsha, we have two deaths. They bookend the parsha. And the Torah clearly states that Abraham was mourning Sarah. It doesn't say anything about what happened in terms of mourning for Abraham at the end of the parsha. But he mourned her, and then he kind of gets up, brushes himself off, and continues with his life. He takes another wife, I'll put the wife in quotes, has more children, and continues living. And Isaac and Ishmael, who are half brothers, who presumably haven't seen each other in years, come together to bury their father, Abraham. There's no discussion about how Isaac and Ishmael managed to come together, how they communicated, or what their interactions were. We've no knowledge of how they saw each other. Were they enemies? Were they afraid of each other? Were they aware that they each had experienced tremendous trauma? Did they have compassion for each other? So these were the questions that popped into my mind because I am who I am and I think the way I think. I also couldn't help but substitute red and blue for Isaac and Ishmael and begin to, and question and wonder whether we can come together as a nation. Can we bury some of our divisions? I certainly don't see Abraham as a healer in his family. And I wonder, can Joe Biden be a healer for our national family? So these are the issues that came into my mind as I read the parsha. So I was still relating it to joy. So for me, joy is an attitude. It requires the long view, and it requires some faith. faith that somehow things are going to work out. They may not work out in the way that we envision, but our vision is kind of limited. But eventually they're going to work out. That kind of faith. So we can feel joy about the White House win while feeling disappointment about other losses in the election. We can feel joy while knowing that there is still work to do. And at least we can take some solace in Isaac and Ishmael coming together to bury their father. So as we sit today, I encourage you to tap into your joy. So let's get comfortable in our places. And we'll take some cleansing breaths. And as we do so, I really want to encourage you to think about something that brings you joy and really breathe that in. The physical sensations that come along with recalling moments of joy. So let's inhale deeply, breathing in joy, and exhaling fully, really creating space for that next big inhale. And inhaling even more joy and appreciation. And exhaling. And again. And now, as we sit, notice how this joy feels in your body. For some, it may feel sort of expansive, or maybe relaxing, or maybe tingling, or something else. Give yourself full permission to bask in the sensation of joy. So as we are coming back to the room, I am going to share a poem by Naomi Shihab Banai called So Much Happiness. It is difficult to know what to do with so much happiness. With sadness, there is something to rub against, a wound to tend with lotion and cloth. When the world falls around you, you have pieces to pick up, something to hold in your hands, like ticket stubs or change. But happiness floats. It doesn't need you to hold it down. It doesn't need anything. Happiness lands on the roof of the next house, singing, and disappears when it wants to. You are happy either way. Even the fact that you once lived in a peaceful treehouse and now live over a quarry of noise and dust cannot make you unhappy. Everything has a life of its own. It too could wake up filled with possibilities of coffee cake and ripe peaches, and love even the floor which needs to be swept, the soiled linens, the scratched records. Since there is no place large enough to contain so much happiness, you shrug, you raise your hands, and it flows out of you into everything you touch. You are not responsible. You take no credit, as the night sky takes no credit for the moon, but continues to hold it and share it, and in that way be known.